And so we come to the final game of the PS2 saga, Ratchet Deadlocked. Remember the death courses from the second and third game? Well, basically, it's the entire game. It's about traveling planet to planet, blowing shit up, and many different objectives. Many years ago, there was this PS2 game where it has a compilation of demos and videos of the upcoming games. This game in Jack X was among those demos, and when I finally got those games, it felt good. I enjoyed taking on the optional challenges, going on Rambo throughout the game, and sometimes dancing to this victory song right here. I can remember my grandmother looking at me weird when I danced to the song right here one time. So what did our heroes end up this time around? There's this illegal combat sport called Dreadzone, where heroes are kidnapped and forced to fight for their lives to put on a good show. Considering how illegal this show is, it does make me wonder how the hell could they be running and not get arrested? I mean, they said something about the Shadow Sector, which is basically a lawless region of space, but I'm pretty sure there could be an army or something to shut down Dreadzone. But then again, there's the death courses in previous games, so what do I know? Question of the day. Were there any shows that did illegal shit and yet somehow they didn't get arrested? I'd love to hear that in the comments down below. Unfortunately, many heroes have either died or have gone corrupted like this asshole Ace Hotlight. Ratchet, Clank, and Al are minding their own business in the Starship Phoenix, but gets kidnapped and taken to the Dreadzone station, where Ratchet is given the most awesome armor in the series. Every single hero is given a collar where they can either get shacked or have their heads explode if they make the wrong moves. Clank and Al are secretly working on ways to escape the station, while Ratchet is out there shooting stuff with the two battle bots named Merc and Green. Throughout the journey, you travel from planet to planet, doing objectives, listening to the two announcers named Dallas and Juanita, watching commercials where they use the same kid actors and actress over and over, occasionally getting hurt. Okay, it's one thing to have an illegal combat sport, but having kids involved? Why did they get shut down long ago? There's the guys called the Exterminators, the bosses of the game, and Ace Hotlight is the #1 exterminator, even though the fans can't stand him. Oh, and later on, when Al has successfully gotten the collar off Clank, he gets shot by Ace and is hospitalized. After one last level, Ratchet returns to find that Al is somewhat roboticized when his old body was beyond repair, and finds out that the only way to stop the whole thing and free the heroes is to destroy the central computer on the control level. But Fox is aware of the plan, but instead of killing them, he basically turns the entire station into a bomb and makes it a final episode to see if Ratchet can save everyone. Of course, he manages to buy some time for everyone to escape and defeats Gleeman Fox. Clank shows up with the last shuttle and escapes just as their station was about to explode. Oh, and in the aftermath, Dr. Nefarious and Lawrence arrives just to remind you that the third game existed. So, you know how with the other games, they try to tell a story where the characters develop, has a few twists, and pretty much builds up the world the two characters live in, which more or less ties into the gameplay? Well, the story in this game isn't really that great. It's got a lot of humorous moments, which does make me crack a smile and chuckle every now and then, but it's not gonna win a gold star. Probably a brown star or something. Nobody likes Ace Hotlight, or he's gotten too old to enjoy, and Fox is pissed off. That alone I don't have a problem with exactly, but when the Ratchet merchandise is starting to sell, it's not like Fox is seeing the new potential right off the start. He thinks it's a stupid mistake even though guys like him should know better since he's a greedy son of a bitch like some other bad guys in the series. But then again, Ratchet said it himself near the end.
You're not just corrupt, you're stupid.
And also, while I'm aware of the fact that there are death courses in previous games, Dreadzone should have still got shut down a long time ago, considering 1, the heroes are dying, and 2, they got the kids doing commercials all the time, and sometimes they get abused. And why the hell do we never see their parents? The running joke is that the show is constantly shitting on Ratchet as one of the biggest baddies ever. And while there's a few moments that can earn a smile out of me, it doesn't change the fact that what they're doing doesn't make sense considering that he saved the galaxies 3 times at this point. One last thing is Captain Quark. The fact that Quark isn't in this until the very end saying some final lines just finally got me to raise a question after all these years. Why wasn't Quark involved in Dreadzone at all? I mean, didn't the previous games claim that Quark was the greatest hero in the universe? Couldn't Dreadzone say that Clank is pathetic and we get a small scene where Clank is pissed at what they thought or have him cry as a baby or something? And I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate for this, but I kind of want him to appear just so they can kill him and we never have to see him again in future games. I'm sorry folks, but I'm not a big fan of Captain Clank at all. So yeah, when it comes to the plot, it's just there to give a reason for Ratchet to kick some ass. Like I said, this game is just Death Course the game starring Ratchet. You are shooting everything in the way with 2 robotic sidekicks that doesn't really kick ass that well, but is helpful in other ways. Obviously, the biggest difference to this game is that Clank is not your backpack that can help you reach higher places or glide. Instead, he's one of the characters that tells you what you need to know about the objectives, and if you think not having Clank around might make this game too hard, it doesn't. The level design works for Ratchet without having Clank on his back. Every objective has you either collect the thing, destroy the things, defend the thing, but they often change things up so it doesn't really feel the same sometimes. Before I continue, I should mention that just like the first Ratchet & Clank review, I'm doing hero mode for this one. For the first time in Ratchet & Clank history, you could choose the difficulty of only 4 to start with, and after playing through the game, you'll unlock the hardest difficulty. And I'm probably not 100% sure about this, but I think the idea is that you start off with 0 dread points, and by getting points, you're qualified to fighting other bosses, which are the exterminators. Like previous games, you travel from planet to planet, but the main setting is the Dreadzone station, and when you're not doing optional challenges, you are participating in tournaments that basically let you get new armor color once you're done. You go by at Al's shop where he can upgrade your robot sidekicks or give off skins that may satisfy people that are into this stuff. Surprisingly, there's not many weapons to choose from, there's like 10 of them. But there is variety to be had with the weapon modifications. You basically have deal-wielding pistols, a rocket, a bomb, mine launcher, this bomb with an electric chain that does heavy damage even to the enemies on top of within you reach, and there's no RYNO in this game. I mean, okay, I didn't really care much years ago, and I still haven't to some extent, but it's a little bit surprising considering that it's kind of a staple in the Ratchet series. But there is a RYNO equivalent in this game called the Harbinger. One shot and it rains down some really powerful lasers? The mods themselves have 2 types, Alpha and Omega. Alpha can like increase ammo, experience points, bolts and so on, while Omega can let you either freeze enemies, explode lava, electrocute enemies and whatnot. If you reach level 10, you have to buy the Omega versions of the weapon in order to level even further. And this game pretty much has the highest level of the entire franchise. It reaches all the way to level 99. And once you reach that level, let's just say that when you fire the weapons, they basically change colors. You're shooting rainbows. Which does make me wonder, does this game appeal to the LGBT community? Much like how Ruby Rose and Yang Xiaolong approve of gay marriage?
I was just wondering what your views were on gay marriage.
For it! Love everyone! All about it, yes!
The 2 battle bosses that review most of the game usually shoot stuff around you. And while I don't think they can really hit hard, they can actually do other things aside from shooting. For example, instead of having you to turn a giant bolt, you can have one of them do it for you while another protects with the shield, letting you do all the killing and not breaking the pace. Though the system isn't really perfect, as I do wish there was an option for these death boxes to hack both orbs at the same time. They can only do it one at a time. Whenever you are not running or gunning or once in a while grinding on rails, you are using the Landstalker to fire rockets or peanut blasters, riding a hoverbike to go through rings, using Pumas to shoot bad guys where one of your battle bots do work, or fly around in a small ship shooting rockets. And the soundtrack is sometimes awesome and catchy as hell. I'm sure you will no doubt bop your head sometimes, or it will make the gameplay more cooler. One thing that kinda sucks though is that when you select weapons, the music just stops playing. But the voiceover is still intact. Like, what the hell? In previous games, the music still plays in the quick select menu, but this doesn't? Boo! Speaking of voiceovers, it makes sense to have the characters talk over the gameplay considering we're in the TV show basically, and we do have some tips and tricks from Clank and Al. But I do wish that they were not stagey obvious sometimes. As a kid, I didn't care much, but nowadays, that shit's kind of annoying. Though, it could have been a lot worse. And I'm pretty sure I can hear the same lines 3 times during the campaign from Dallas and Guanida, which does make me wonder, did they not have enough time to record more lines? Also, this dialogue close to the end is just disturbing.
Oh, baby. You're a baby. Good baby. You will not cry. Look at you. Crying on galaxy-wide hollow vision. You are a selfish, selfish man.
I never got this as a kid and just thought it was another talkie talk, but revisiting, this shit's just disturbing. And kids like me play these T-rated games? They seriously thought that these games would be worthy to be kids games while remastering this? No wonder they lost their touch years later. It just makes me wonder, if these games were intentionally T-rated, could they be better than the final games we got in the PS3 saga? The armor in this game is different than the previous games because, unlike the other 2 games, the armor doesn't really make you tough to help even the odds with the enemies that are even more tough to deal with as time moves on. If anything, the only difference is the color. And the different armor color is pretty much like, hey, you completed the tournament, you get a different color for your armor and a different rank, have fun! And you pretty much wear your helmet throughout most of the game, but in cutscenes, it's awful when Ratchet's chatting with someone, which is nice. My nitpick with previous games is that you can't see Ratchet's expressions in the toughest armor due to the helmet blocking your face. Plus, if you get enough returning skill points, there's an option to remove the helmet if you like. Oh, and aside from skill points, there's these Exterminator trading cards, which could be unlocked by beating all of the challenges either on hard or Exterminator mode, getting a certain amount of points, and so on if you look up a guide. Getting all these cards will give you a Ninja Ratchet skin, which isn't just a different skin as you move faster, but not fast enough, and using the sword doesn't change a thing aside from looks. And the ninja gear is pathetic by comparison to the main armor you wear. Insomniac, if you want this armor to mean something, make you go super fast, have 1 kill range, and make you extremely hard to kill. Not total invincibility, but make you stronger. Not that I would use anyway, because it would get boring very quickly unless you're just letting off some steam. What's weird about this game is that in the previous game, a lot of missions, whenever it doesn't have platforming and puzzle solving elements, it has you run and shoot a bunch of enemies, especially the Galactic Rangers missions. That game received a bit of a higher praise than the first game, I think. So you think that with this game it could get like a 95%? But instead it's much lower. I guess it's because that with this style of gaming, if you are not taking a break sometimes, it'll get boring after a while. What probably makes this game not as good as the other ones is that they have a variety of objectives and level designs that could change a few things up, like not having Clank around to help you glide, moving platforms and so on. Plus the story ties into the gameplay in plenty of ways, mainly the bolts. In this game, especially the third one, which I forgot to mention, is that nobody asks for a fee. All that money is spent on weapons and ammo. I feel like as cool as this game is, there's not really much to offer or add other than trying to upgrade your weapons, get skill points, and even beat the game on hardest difficulty if you want a challenge. Years ago, I played it on easy and normal mode, but I can only remember playing the Exterminator because I wanted to complete it. There's not really much to say about this game other than this is a slightly different style in which it can work pretty well, and that it's probably the only game to be a shoot 'em up game. Intentionally, that is. After that, it's pretty much back to the formula with only 2 games having a different style. Also, this is probably the final game of its kind where back in the PS2 era, it's T-rated, as in it's not exactly for kids. It's a gaming where you shoot people up with your weapons while doing platforming and even puzzle solving. I mean, I'm sure kids will play T-rated games regardless, and I'm pretty sure that there are little babies out there playing Grand Theft Auto 5 for some baffling reason, considering that it's M-rated as in it's not meant for kids. But I'm wondering if this gaming series should have stopped right here at the PS2 saga. The PS3 games are fine to play, but What goes up must eventually come down. I know I'm probably ending on a semi-negative note, especially with how I'm praising it, but there was one more game that I'm gonna go over. I'm not doing the PS3 games because there are other games that needs attention. However, there is one more I will do, and that is the reboot. I don't really need to say much other than play the PS2 Ratchet games. I'll see you next time when we go over what's probably the death of the franchise, in which I hope will never come back for a decade or two. I mean, how come the Jak and Daxter games didn't get the same treatment as the Ratchet and Clank games? Jak 2 and 3 are masterpieces, and yet they never went anywhere other than Jak X and The Lost Frontier. I mean, Ratchet had a thing going for a while, and I'm glad Jak didn't get botched, but then Insomniac had to ruin the first game with the reboot. I just can't take it anymore. It's so fucking boring and unimaginative. Why didn't they stop right there and crack in time?